find out if you are watching Out There live from London. Also coming up. Now, let us in the shelling of Homs as the UN's observer mission to Syria prepares to brief the Security Council. Leaders from G20 nations put aside their differences over the Eurozone crisis to talk solutions as Spain becomes the big risk. Plus, Gilani is out. Pakistan's Supreme Court suspends the country's Prime Minister. So then there is anger on the streets of Cairo. Let's take you straight to Tahrir Square in the centre of the capital. As you can see, tens of thousands of people now, all we believe, protesting at that decision by Egypt's military rulers to hang on to huge waves of power. Earlier, Ahmed Shafiq, who was Prime Minister under Hosni Mubarak, said he won the weekend's presidential election, claiming 51% of the vote. Now that, of course, is news to the Muslim Brotherhood candidate Mohammed Morsi. He has already said he won the election. It was, in fact, the Muslim Brotherhood which called for people to come out onto the streets of Cairo. And we believe that many thousands of Egyptians have answered that call by the Muslim Brotherhood to once again pack Tahrir Square in the centre of Cairo, just as they did in the revolution last year. At the moment, it all appears to be peaceful. They've been shouting in their thousands, of course, waving flags, many of them demanding that the military sticks to what it had promised and has a safe, peaceful and orderly transition of power from the military to the civilian government. But it has to be said,
I want it clockwise.
They do still intend to keep to that vow that they took, although many people say it appears that the military are prepared to hold on to power for as long as possible. Well, of course, Jamal El-Shaal is watching the crowds as they protest there in the centre of Tahrir Square in Cairo. And it does appear, Jamal, doesn't it, that the Muslim Brotherhood's call for people to take to the streets has been answered.
Indeed, Felicity, and once again, and the crowd is filled, or at least is packed to a great extent. It's a very loud crowd, a very angry crowd in some parts, and celebratory crowd in others. There are those who are celebrating, according to the announcement, unofficial announcement made by the Muslim Brothers that their candidate won. They're celebrating that. They're having fireworks throughout the past couple of hours, and there are also those who are angered by the latest move by the Supreme Council of Armed Forces. Those are the military rulers who've been running the country since Mubarak was ousted from power. And their latest decree, constitutional decree, saying that any or whoever becomes the next president will essentially be an impotent one, stripped of most of his powers, and that it will be the military who will hold on to legislative powers and most of the important decision-making bodies that would usually come accompanied by a president in any democracy. So the people below say that this is a coup against the process, the democratic process, and angered by that the crowd that is below chanting constantly against Field Marshal Hussein and against the military rulers.
And away from the process themselves against the military, of course,
okay, now anti-clockwise.
In the presidential election, both now claiming victory.
Indeed, earlier today, Ahmed Shafiq, who is the opponent of the Muslim Brotherhood, Mubarak, serving Prime Minister, and the former Army General himself, declared that he, in fact, had won this poll. This after the Muslim Brotherhood tried to preempt the official results of my or to use the announcement saying that they had won. Now, there is still no official result. However, according to the Muslim Brotherhood, who had a pretty concise and detailed network of observers across the 13,000 voting stations, as well as results that come out from independent organizations and even state-owned Al-Ahram Center, they actually corroborated with what the Muslim Brotherhood had said. Having said that, the Supreme Committee of Elections overlooking the polling process has come out urging both sides not to make any more announcements, saying that neither of the announcements are official and that it is only the results that will be declared by the committee on Thursday that will have any real bearing. What's important to note here is that a lot of the people on the ground have taken the announcement that Mursi has won by the Republic as a fact, and that they are now channeling their energy towards their opposition towards the military and towards their demand that the military must hand over the power that it has stripped away from the coming president, and that the military must reverse its decision to dissolve the parliament which was dominated by self-described Islamist groups like the Muslim Brotherhood, the Salafists and others. In fact, just maybe an hour or two ago, some of the members of that parliament approached the stage here, and as soon as they got into the stage, there was loud cheers and the people chanting, here they are, and the people, parliamentarians, have arrived. So there is a mixture of celebration as well as anger directed towards the military here, and the protest loud and large as we've grown accustomed to throughout the past 16 months.
And Jamal, just briefly, you've been hearing rumours about the health, more rumours about the health of former President Hosni Mubarak. Update us on that.
Indeed, according to one source of Al Jazeera inside the Interior Ministry, he says that a decision has been made to transfer the former president from prison to a military hospital in Maadi in one of Cairo's suburbs. The state-owned media says the decision has not yet been made, but it is expected to be made in the coming hours. What's important to note here is that the prison, the jail that Mubarak is in, he was only admitted into that jail after the hospital was renovated, and in fact a lot of money was invested into it in order for it to be equipped to deal with Mubarak's different health issues. So it will maybe cause even more anger onto the people here who will view it as some sort of conspiracy to avert Mubarak having to spend time in jail on one hand, or if in practice too, which could very well be the case, that his health is extremely deteriorating, according to those sources saying that his heart actually stopped at one point today, and defibrillators were used in order to revive him. That would be the first instance that happened. So there is a lot of things moving right now, and a lot of these things, depending on what direction they're moving to, could actually increase the anger felt by a lot of people and what the activists throughout the country.
Jamal Al-Shah with the latest there from Cairo Square. So thanks so much indeed. We're going to stay with those pictures in the square in the centre of Cairo, but I want to bring in now Fawad Churjay, who's joined me in the studio. He's the director of the London School of Economics Middle East Centre. He's watching the pictures with me now. Fawad, what do you make of what is happening in Egypt at the moment? When you look at the scenes there, it takes you back to last year, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Egypt is facing a severe political crisis, a crisis of the making of the ruling generals in Egypt. In fact, I would argue that the ruling generals have monstrously miscalculated. They have mastered the art of political miscalculation. They have brought all the political forces together, united the political forces. The Brotherhood, the liberal forces, the leftists, the nationalists, and they were deeply divided a few days ago. And this tells you a great deal that what the military has done, trying to monopolize power, trying to maintain the basic aspects of the Mubarak regime, will not pass. What you're seeing now is that Egyptians are terribly mobilized. Egyptians will not allow the ruling generals basically to have their way to maintain the existing.
But those Egyptians that are in the square right now, are they mostly supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood? It was the Muslim Brotherhood, Mohammed Morsi, their candidate, who said come out onto the streets. Is that a response to the call, or are there other Egyptians representing, other parts of Egypt within those protesters?
Most of them are members of the Muslim Brotherhood. Most of them are sympathizers of the Muslim Brotherhood, but other forces have joined the call for protest against the ruling general. You have the revolutionary forces, you have liberal forces, you have nationalists, you have independent, and you have centrists.
To go anti-clockwise.
Basically, the coming together as the coalition, initial coalition that ousted Mubarak. And this particular coalition now has been mobilized by the generals' attempt to mobilize power and hijack the revolution Ironically, when Mubarak was ousted, the military was seen as the guardian of the revolution. Most Egyptians, now the military is seen as the hijack of the revolution. It has alienated many Egyptians, and you say 50% of Egyptians now are being alienated from the military general.
Oh, it's good to talk to you. I'm sure we'll be talking to you later in a couple of hours as things develop there in Yemen. Thank you very much indeed. Well, in a little under an hour's time, the head of the United Nations Observer Mission to Syria will give a key briefing to the UN Security Council. The mission was suspended on Saturday after its head, General Robert Mood, said the risk of the 300 unarmed observers was simply too great. Syrian opposition activists say the government shelling has been continuing in urban areas on Tuesday. This activist video is from Zuma near Damascus, and it shows people fleeing an apparent attack. Well, attention is also focused on the movements of this Russian-registered ship off the coast of Scotland. Can't see it at the moment, but I can tell you the MV Aled has turned back to Russia after an insurance company cancelled its cover because it believed the ship was carrying attack helicopters bound for Syria. Scott Tyler joins us now at the United Nations in New York. And Scott, I mean, Robert Mood is due to make this briefing to the UN Security Council. Do you have any idea what he might say?
Well, General Mood, we know, is going to really be taken to task, if you will, and exactly what has been happening on the ground in Syria over the last several weeks. This is the first time that the General will be addressing the Security Council in person. He's done one other briefing, but that was via video conference, I should say. So this is the first time we'll actually be sitting across from them in the Security Council, and they'll really focus on what has been happening over the last several weeks.
Okay, this is the last try.
Obviously, just 3 days ago, on Saturday, to suspend any observer missions, observer operations, because he said the violence has gotten to the point in Syria where he is worried about the safety of those who work for him, who are in Syria on the ground carrying out these observer operations. Now, he's going to be focused on that. He's also going to talk about accusations that they have been targeted, the United Nations observers, and also that there has been some obstruction going on by the Syrian government in the form of visas, and also that they wanted independent air assets so they could surveil Syria, because there are only just under 300 of these observers there, and Syria is quite a large country, so they need assets to properly do their job. So those are the kinds of questions that General Mood will be asked by the Security Council in just under an hour.